Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. We love talking sports with you every single night of the week, and we do it at 412-575-2600. That's the number of the hotline here tonight. You can also hit us up on Twitter. Mine is at KD Pomp. Andrew's is at the Pony Express. Andrew Filipponi up at the PM team. We had a busy day. And before we get into the Pirates, I want to start with something that just happened within the last hour. Sidney Crosby doing something that only Wayne Gretzky has done before, and that is average a point a game for 19 consecutive seasons. The man is just a model of consistency in every way, shape, and form, Andrew. And to watch him do his thing tonight with his hand-eye coordination still off the charts at his age and as many years he's put into this league, it's a remarkable accomplishment, and we've been witnessing a bunch of history over the years. And sometimes, at some point, it's going to end. But how about this guy? He was the emergency backup goalie because Tristan Jarry got sick. I was hoping he'd get in the game, and he didn't. Right off the bat, the Penguins do score. Brian Rust, who's been hot of late here, Andrew, he got goal number 26. He later got an empty netter number 27. That was a quick rebound, and he pounced all over it. And then they get another goal. And here's the Crosby first goal I was talking about. He now has 82 points on the year, but just a subtle little deflection. You talk about hand-eye, he knows exactly where it's going. A little move like that, but you know of how many hours of work and preparation that takes to do that. And then Emil Bemstrom here gets a breakaway. He hasn't played in a while back in the lineup. Injects a little energy to make it a 3-0 game. And then you had flashbacks of what happened in Columbus. They're going to blow a third period lead. It's 3-1. They make it 3-2. Jack Roslovic scores here. And so all of a sudden, they pull the goalie. And that's when not only Russ scored, but also Sidney Crosby. And you're going to see Crosby's coming up here again. 19 straight years. He blocked a shot, no less, to create the opportunity. Andrew, it's pretty remarkable. Penguins win tonight. You know, they got 77 points. Technically, they're still alive in this thing, but more importantly, Crosby, just amazing to watch, isn't it?
It really is. 19 seasons. It'd be like Ben Roethlisberger every year of his career throwing at least 30 touchdown passes, just doing it year in and year out and being one of the best in the sport, where you're one of the 10 most productive players or 15 most productive players every season. And not only does Sid score points, but he's also a great two-way player. He plays the whole sheet of ice. He does not look his age whatsoever. The players around him, like Evgeny Malkin and definitely Chris Letang lately too, their games look like they are definitely deteriorating before our eyes. Not Sidney Crosby, who looks as good as ever, and that extension is going to get done this summer, and he's going to finish his career as a Penguin. And I'm excited to watch him break Wayne Gretzky's record next year, which he'll do. I would highly doubt he would not be able to accomplish that. And it's just really a pity, Bob, that the players around him, the coaching staff, the management side of the Penguins have let him down to this degree where for 2 straight seasons, Sidney Crosby has been healthy and near the top of his game, and he's going to be up in Nova Scotia watching the playoffs again when they start later this month. It's an embarrassment to the Penguins that he has been healthy and good, and he's not going to be in the playoffs this year.
And it's also a loss for the NHL because they're not going to see one of the greatest players ever to play the game, again, in a non-playoff situation. So it's not good for the game, but you're right. There are a lot of things that happened this season that did not work out, and Kyle Dubas has a busy offseason coming up. We're due for a break here, Andrew. When we come back, we'll focus on the Pirates and get your take on whether or not you've changed your preseason prediction. A lot of people had them. I had 80 wins. I may have to think twice about that. I thought that was improvement over last year, but maybe they're going to make a bigger step, but it's only 5 games. So much to talk about. We'll do it right here live on KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. GM Sierra tweet of the night. This is actually from the other night. This was Joe Block from yesterday, so it really wasn't the one we were talking about. It's the Pirates starting 5-0 for the first time since 1983. So, Pony, let's talk about the Pirates. You know, we saw last year a pretty good start. They were in first place. They had lost O'Neal Cruz. Early April still, they were 20-8, and then all of a sudden everything collapsed. I think this team this year is in a much better place. First, by virtue of another year of experience for some of their key players. But second, this bullpen is legit, and we saw it again today in action, -1 pitch of Roansy Contreras. But overall, if they get any sort of starting pitching, and Jarrett Jones was, to me, the biggest story of this entire weekend. There were a lot of big stories. That one stuck out for me. if they should get to the 5th or 6th inning like Gonzalez did today, I think they have a shot of winning a lot of games.
I think so too. Derek Shelton, I believe, made a mistake having Gonzalez go out there to start the 6th inning, and he ended up needing to try to push Contreras for 2 innings. That almost backfired. It didn't, though, as we hear the national anthem here in D.C. Should I put my hand on my heart here, Bob, for that?
Yeah, you should.
Look, Marco Gonzalez, big question mark, and Jared Jones had never pitched in the big leagues. So that's 4/5 of your rotation, in my opinion, that I believe you can trust through the first time through. Perez is going to be solid, and I think Keller will be good, maybe not great. When Skeens gets here, he replaces Bailey Falter. So that, Bob, if that's your starting rotation, that's not that bad, provided Gonzalez pitches like he did today, and we see more of what Jared Jones did against Miami.
And you're getting this clutch hitting, too. They've scored a ton of runs. They've gotten over 12 hits in just about every game, and this is Andrew McCutcheon adding to what was a 2-spot, now a 3-spot in the 8th inning to make it a 6-3 game, and then 2 more with Brian Reynolds. They have 4 or 5 guys, Andrew, who I think can hit over 20 home runs, and if you put that together with a solid bullpen, you're going to be in a lot of games, I think. So bottom line, a good start, but there's a long way to go. They're off tomorrow. They come home against Baltimore on Friday. Baltimore's a 101-win team, and they've done some things that I think the Pirates are trying to emulate. That should be a fun series to watch.
Well, are they going to emulate a move like Corbin Burns? Bob, that's a pretty big one by the Baltimore Orioles.
I meant, you know what I meant with using the draft picks to move. They have a lot of young players, and last year they put them all together, and they seem to work out. And one thing the Pirates have not done is elevate a guy at 22 who turns out to be a really good player. We haven't seen that in a long, long time.
Yeah, we'll see if Jones is one of those guys after his 10-strikeout debut. Skeens looked amazing at AAA. He should be here soon, although he's only pitching 2 innings. So they're taking baby steps with him. I want him sooner rather than later, so that's something to monitor. How much are they going to push him? How long is it going to take for him to be ready to help this team? Hayes has picked up where he left off last season. Reynolds looks pretty good. Let's see Cruz once they stop facing all of these left-handed pitchers, because he performs much better against righties. The platoons have worked well. Joe was very good at first base and in the outfield against left-handed pitching. I thought Alika Williams, even as a guy off the bench, made a couple nice defensive plays in the game today. A play at second base to get a guy out at second. His hitting in Sunday's game. So right now, everything's working for this team, Bob, but it did last year, to your point. They were 20-8 at one point, and we know where the season ended with 76 wins. Division not good, though. Division very winnable based on what we see from the other 4 teams.
I think the way to get to the playoffs is easier to me in the division than it is a wild card, but we'll see how this plays out. Got a lot of tweets, and I want to read this before we go to our number 1 Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night. This is from Sean Kramer. He says, the Bucks have a different feel to them this year, more experience from last year, plus the call-ups that will happen during the season. Get on board. Buccos are going to be running wild on Federal Street. All right, Sean, beware. I mean, things can change in a hurry, but injuries also play a role in this already. Bednar seems to have a little bit. They're without Majinski. They're without Holderman, and injuries play a big role. Now, let's get to our number 1 Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night. It's David in Washington. Hello, David. How are you?
Hey, guys. Good evening. Hey, maybe I'm being overly optimistic, Bob, but I was going to suggest when you come on the air tomorrow night for your intro song, just play The Bucks Are Going All the Way this year. And secondly, to what I wanted to point out to you, it's been 37 years since, at the time, the infamous trade of Tony Pena, and I wanted to get your recollection of that and what you thought when you first heard that trade. And what Tony said tonight, yeah, you'd like to get the big splash for the free agent, but some of the best moves the Pirates have ever made, they've gotten trades, getting guys that weren't playing elsewhere and bringing them here, and they became stars like Van Slyke did. So I'll hang up and listen to your response.
You know, thanks for the call. And, Pony, that was a big deal at the time. Tony Pena was well-liked, one of those guys who you thought would be here, and all of a sudden Van Slyke's here. They brought in also Mike Dunn, who was a guy I thought was going to be a better player than he turned out to be, but Van Slyke was the key to it all. So, yeah, and to his point, you can do it a lot of different ways. There are plays, there are free agent acquisitions, there are trades, there are a lot of things you can do.
Well, Burns was a trade, by the way. It was not someone that Baltimore signed.
Surprisingly, Milwaukee wanted to get rid of
him.
him, though. I still can't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, their number 2 starter, D.L. Hall, who pitched on Friday, or Saturday, excuse me, was part of that deal. So, yeah, look, the thing about the Pirates, whether they make the playoffs or not this year, is you think that the nucleus is in place to be a good baseball team for a few years. O'Neal Cruz, Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller, David Bednar, guys like that are here and should be for the next handful of years. Brian Reynolds got a contract, Mitch Keller's deal. So they're locked up. They've got years ahead of them. That should make you feel good. Maybe they will. You never know with teams. Sometimes they peak early. They might come out of nowhere like Miami and Arizona did last year. One made the playoffs. The other went to the World Series. They were expected to win 75, 76 games last season, and they went into October, and Arizona was a few wins away from winning it all. With a very young team, Bob. They had like 4 or 5 guys in their starting lineup who were in their early 20s. So it's possible, but the pitching and the pitching depth is what I'm worried about. First time through the rotation, I give it a thumbs up, but Falter stinks, and Keller's got to do better than he did in his first start, Bob. That's also a big part of this season. He's got to go back to the guy he was in the first half of last season.
No question. Skeens has to be up here and do what he's, I think, capable of doing, and rather quickly. If they can get that out of him, it would certainly help. So we'll see how that goes. Back to the lines, we got Brian in Beaver. Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going? I just want to talk about my expectations for the Pirates. I just would like to say that I hope they're good enough to keep me interested until Steelers training camp starts.
Yeah, that's a big vacuum.
It's really a joke.
That's a big vacuum area for us. There's nothing going on at times, and with the Penguins not being in the playoffs now, Pony, for the second year in a row, it would be nice to have a little bit of a diversion there on Federal Street.
Yeah, I mean, with or without, even if when the Steelers training camp starts, if the Pirates are in first place or in a playoff spot, we're capable of watching 2 things. You do it every night, Bob. You toggle between a million things. So, yeah, I'm not going to shift my focus entirely to the Steelers as long as the Pirates are in the mix. We did that in 13, 14, and 15 when the team was competitive and made the playoffs. It wasn't just about getting to Latrobe. I wanted them to go beyond just July. And this team right now is giving you hope and giving you some reasons to think they might be able to do that. So 5-0, Bob. The 83 team started 5-0. They ended up winning, I think, 84 games. You think 84 games would get them in the playoffs?
I might win a division or not. This division, I'm still not certain of it. I think it's one of the weaker divisions, but I wouldn't be surprised.
So who would you pick to win the division right now, Bob? Who would you go with this very second? Let's not sit on the fence here. I know you got a very nice fence outside your house. But if you had to pick a team to win the division right this second, who would it be?
I'd have to think about Milwaukee still. Even though they got rid of Corbin Burns, I still like their team. St. Louis is not going to disappoint like they did last year. It's too early for me to tell. I know the Pirates are going to be in it. They strike me as a team that has a lot of resiliency, a lot of grit to them, and I think we saw that over the first couple of games of this series. Real quick, I want to
Do you like them more than the Reds?
The Reds are another kind of wild card team. They got a lot of talent, and I haven't seen it put it together yet, though. So we'll see. It's too early to make all these. But I do want to ask you about this LSU game tonight with Iowa, because I thought it was must-see. Women's college basketball, Elite Eight, a rematch of a national championship game. Big ticket crowd there, spending a lot of money, spending more money than maybe we're going to spend in Glendale, Arizona for the men's. But tonight it was all Caitlin Clark. Angel Reese had her double-double. She gets it almost every night. But, man, Clark, 41 points, almost a triple-double. She had 12 assists, 7 rebounds. Spectacular, 9 3-point plays. I thought it was outstanding to watch her play.
No, I was blown away because it took her so much in a game like this to get open for the shots. She had to work. It wasn't like she came off a screen and was wide open and just had a 3-point shot to make that was uncontested. She was constantly having to move around either with or without the ball to get the space to get those shots up. And when she did have a little bit of space on her own, she usually shot it from so deep that even though she's a great shooter, LSU's like, okay, if you're going to make it from there, we can live with that. And she did. She tied her own personal high. Some of her passing in this game was also fantastic. So, yeah, Bob, she is for my money, the most transcendent women's basketball player of all time. That doesn't mean the best, but the following and the interest in the game she's created, I've never seen it before. Candace Parker at Tennessee, Rebecca Lobo, UConn. We've seen other great players come through, probably better than her, but no one captured people's attention like she has.
Yeah, well, part of it is, and I remember Swin Cash when she was doing her thing here locally, and she took it to the next level, but part of her thing is throwing it up from the logo. Normally, you don't see that in the women's game, but you're seeing more of it, and she's just, when she gets an opening, she's going to take it. It reminds you very much of Steph Curry in the NBA. We're due for a break. We'll take it. Come back with more right here. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, KDKA Plus, 93.7 The Fan. Ken Rice, right here, right now, with what's coming up tonight at 11 on KDKA. Ken?
Hey, Bob, a community coming together to push for change in the wake of another tragedy. We'll explain what's happening, plus reviving some long-gone T lines while others are under construction. Who's pushing that idea? And our meteorologists have made tomorrow a first alert weather day. See what to prepare for. All coming up at 11. Bob, see you in a few minutes.
And it's going to take that Category 5 hairspray tomorrow. Those winds are going to be coming in. Pony, we got a big game coming up next Saturday. We're in doubleheader time, the Final Four. And I'm very curious about the first game. DJ Burns Jr., we saw him here in Pittsburgh. Although it's funny, the second game, they almost got knocked out because of Oakland. After Oakland took out Kentucky. That's how tenuous this is. He against Zach Edey. How do you see that matching up?
Oh, I can't wait for it. I think Burns is going to give him everything and then some. I think Purdue overall is the better team, but NC State is red hot. Bob, you think he can pull a Sam Clancy and go play in the NFL next year, big DJ Burns?
It hasn't been done
serious.
too often unless you're a tight end. You're talking, he's not a tight end though, is he? No, you're talking about what, tackle?
No, he's going to be an offensive tackle.
Interesting. We'll see. We're out of time. We'll talk more about it tomorrow.
Bye,
Thanks
Bob.
for joining us. Good night, Pony, and we'll see you guys tomorrow right here.